So England prepare. Are really G'd up for this one.
David Seaman's call off his line, and Brazil take the lead.
The dream is over for England.
A fabulous goal for Sweden.
Fabulous goal. England playing, but it was put in with the man.
Yellow card for Paul Gascoigne.
Oh my goodness, look at that look on his face. He's not far from tears there.
It's the end of the line for Kevin Keegan's Eurostars. And England go out.
"18 years ago, I became the 6th full-time manager of England. It was the proudest moment of my life, the fulfilment of my managerial career.
What sort of thing is happening here? No, no, bloody! Oh no, do I not like that?
I knew the job was going to be tough, but what started out as a dream turned into the worst experience of my professional life. Since my time as the England manager, Wembley has changed radically. It's a fantastic new stadium. You just have to look around you and you know you're in something special. But as regards the football team, very little has changed. We've flattered to deceive on occasions. We've thought that we might go and win tournaments, but we haven't done. One has to say it's been a major disappointment since 1966. But that famous Wembley memory was more than 40 years ago. Despite the near misses of 68, 90 and 96, our record in the major tournaments is poor. In the 1970s, not once did we qualify, even though our club sides ended the decade dominant in Europe. While from the 1980s, the ever-loyal fans became accustomed to the sight of England crashing out early, and usually by a penalty shootout.
Now, you know him better than anybody probably. Do you back him to score quickly, yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, he hasn't!
No! Even with this kind of record, we have this fantastic expectation every time a tournament is played that we should win it. And that, for me, makes the England manager's job one of the toughest in the football world.
So I think it's probably one of the biggest international jobs anywhere.
The role within our country, there's probably the Prime Minister and the England manager, and the difference is that everybody thinks they can be the England manager. Most of them know they can't really be the Prime Minister.
I think there's more people waiting for you to fail than there are waiting for you to be successful.
You're only judged by, winning the World Cup or the Euros, so that's going to be difficult. So the responsibility of a nation on your shoulders, a bit of pressure.
Our biggest disappointment in recent years came when the so-called Golden Generation didn't qualify for Euro 2008. Inevitably, yet another failed England manager fell foul of a scathing national post-mortem. So I've decided to go out into the football community to get to the bottom of why the England job is so uniquely difficult.
When you wake up in the morning at home and you look out at the window and there are 50 cameramen and photographers outside, that's a little bit frustrating, I must say. And
only a little bit?
Yeah.
And I'll be talking to the man currently in charge to see how he's coping with all these challenges. To take this team to the next level, what is it that they really need?
The confidence. The confidence that they plays every game like the last game.
First of all, I want to reflect on what being England manager meant to me.
It's away and get rid of it.
Thank you. The England manager's job really is about winning pretty well every game. And I'd been used to winning. I had no doubt in my mind that, in fact, we would get not just to the European Championships, but we'd get to the World Cup. And from 1990 to 92, I was right. We lost only one of 23 matches, as everything went to plan and we qualified for Euro 92. But that's when things went wrong.
And sadly, good night now for England.
And in our final match against Sweden, I made the most talked about decision of my career. The media turned against me when we came back out of Europe, having not got to the later stages, and I'd substituted Gary Lineker.
It means that Gary Lineker leaves the international scene one short of Bobby Charlton's record.
The fact that I'd had the effrontery to actually substitute a captain who was going to retire anyhow gave them a great opportunity to beat me about the head. The Sun had put the turnip on my head. The players are reading it, they're looking at you, they're wondering then if you have the authority that you had previously. So it starts to undermine the whole situation. Quality! Going into the 1994 World Cup qualifiers, I knew that the media were ready to pounce.
Referee! Referee! Referee!
Disappointing results against Norway and Poland left qualification hanging by a thread. Don't talk to me about not feeling stress.
Paul, come on! Hey!
This is England. You're English. You've got the biggest job in football.
Sharpie! Sharpie!
And the team isn't performing as you want it to do, or as the country wants it to, or as you would expect it to.
Go, Les! Hit Les! Hit Les over the top!
Of course you're under stress. Needless to say, a media feeding frenzy ensued, and I was hammered from all sides. My wife couldn't get into her house because they wanted to interview her about England's result and what she thought. She wouldn't be an interview, and one representative of a tabloid newspaper told her that she effing well ought to start doing interviews. My fate as England manager was effectively sealed when we controversially lost to Holland in Rotterdam.
Referee! Referee! Should be sent off! Should be sent off as well! What are they being instructed? That is terrible. You know it, don't you? You know it. You know it.
What I do know is at one end of the pitch, Koeman should have been definitely sent off. At the other end of the pitch, ironically, the man that shouldn't be on the pitch takes the free kick from which he scores.
Now he's going to flip one. He's going to flip one, and it's in.
And I lost the plot. I lost the plot.
You know we've been cheated, don't you? I'm a meter. Even if he doesn't see it as a penalty, he has to go. You can't say anything. I know you can't say anything. I know that. You see, at the end of the day, I get the sack now.
I knew my England career was over. I knew it was ending in failure, deep failure.
I'm just saying to your colleague, referee's got me the sack. Thank him ever so much for that, won't you?
I was the manager of an England team that did not qualify for the World Cup. Goodness me. All it is Taylor, turnip on his head, what a useless manager he was, didn't do anything at all, you know, crap, let's get him out, let's get the next one in. Since my resignation, 5 other England managers have come and gone. Like me, they have all been subject to personal attacks from a hostile media.
And gentlemen, if you want to write whatever you want to write, you can write it, because that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
They have all had different personalities with different philosophies and tactics. They have all had great players at their disposal, and they have all failed to win anything. I want to know, what is it that is stopping us being as successful as so many people in this country want us to be? I'm a footballer. Since we won the World Cup in 1966, 9 managers have tried, but none have succeeded. What is it about this job that is so difficult? Glenn Hoddle, who led us into the World Cup in '98, was England's youngest manager since Walter Winterbottom. But after England crashed out on penalties to Argentina, the media descended on Hoddle and he resigned amid a hysterical clamour for his head. I caught up with Glenn at his academy in Spain for teenage footballers released from their clubs. Glenn, here we are sat in lovely sunny weather. Young groups of footballers round about us.
Here you go, big man.
If we look at the England job then, one, is it different in our country? If it is different, is it more difficult? If it is more difficult, why?
In many ways, it's worse than the Prime Minister unless we go to war. Obviously, that decision is... I wouldn't like to have that decision. But when you walk down the street or you go to the supermarket or you put some petrol in the car, everyone's got an idea. Everyone's got a team in their mind or a player that they think they should be playing and we're not playing when we're a manager. I don't see the Prime Minister having to deal with that on a daily basis. So the pressures are really there from everywhere you go.
When you went in, you started to look at different ways and try to say we're going to play different ways. Reaction of the media?
They don't understand, do they? Sometimes they don't even understand what you've done. I'd come out from games and some media in the first couple of games said, you know, the back four played well, and I had to smile to myself. We didn't play with the back four. We played with three at the back. And at the end of the day, you think to yourself, well, what they're doing is they're showing their lack of knowledge. It's the other things with the press, obviously, that are the difficult thing about the England job. It's the stuff totally outside, which you had to suffer, I had to suffer. We've all suffered. You've got to be judged by your results, but you don't get judged by your results by the press. I experienced playing in France, and the French national manager and club managers were totally judged purely on the results. Anything that happened in their private life, anything there was none of these stories, and they functioned very well, I think, didn't they? They won the World Cup, they won Euros, they haven't done bad, and French football has just been elevated in the last sort of 15, 20 years.
Why is it every 2 years when a tournament is played, do we have this massive expectation with the record that we've got to win?
We've won in '66. We've not done much since then, and the expectations from the press, from the country, it really shouldn't be on the players. We should be saying, right, let's be happy if we get to a quarter-final.
So you would agree, Glenn, would you, that if we're going to have a new approach to what is expected of the England team, the England manager, unless the media buy into that, it's never going to happen?
Of course, we're not saying that it's just the press's fault, the reason why the England team haven't been successful. But it hinders the job, it hinders the qualification, and it hinders when you're in a tournament. It's not helpful. The press and the media definitely have to change.
Glenn, great.
Pleasure.
Many
nice
thanks.
To see you, Graham.
In 2001, the FA appointed England's first foreign manager, Sven-Goran Eriksson. The Swede guided England to 3 tournament quarter-finals in 5 years.
Terry with the headed out. Lampard! And England are still in the European Championship.
But left the job after the 2006 World Cup. Sven now coaches the Mexican national side, and I went out there to quiz him on his England experiences. Hello, Sven. How very good to see you
nice
again.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. We've got a few things to chat about,
Absolutely.
I believe. There is the feeling that being the manager of the England team is probably the toughest job in international football. Would you agree with that?
It's a big job, yeah. And I knew it before I took it, but when I had it after 6 months, 1 year, I understand that it was bigger than I thought.
In those very early few months, was there anything that took you by surprise?
Maybe the press. And I remember before I started the job, there were people around my village in Sweden. There were people all over trying to get ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, and offering a lot of money to say whatever. So I said to the players, I'm sorry if that disturbs you. No, boss, I said. Welcome to England, I said. So I think they are used to it. What I was used to was Italian press during many, many years. And of course, if you play badly, if you lose games, they criticize you heavily because of the lineup, because of the tactics. But I always accepted that because that's an opinion about football, and we all have different opinions about football.
So we come on to this thorny question of club versus country. Does the England international side suffer in terms of the demands of club football?
When there were competition games, qualification games, or World Cup or Euro, whatever it was, never a problem. But the problem for some of the club managers are the friendlies. Tired players and so on, and especially one of the managers, he didn't like friendly games, and I don't need to tell you. He didn't like that at all. So, in some way, I agreed to the club manager that those tired players, okay, play them 45 minutes, then give them a rest and take in new players. And I remember I changed 11 sometimes, and it was not very popular. Not even the FA liked it.
In competitive games, you are the most successful manager that we've had.
I didn't know that, but...
Well, I'm telling you that. Not that I like telling you that, I wish you'd be telling me that. But we haven't, in all honesty, achieved what we should have done. Would that be a fair comment?
That's a fair comment, and especially 2006. We should have achieved better than we did there all my career, because we should have done that. Yeah, what went wrong? Penalties, for sure, went wrong. Oh! When you win football games and when you lose football games, it's the whole group. And if we lose, we lose. We have to take the responsibility, all of us. I mean, it's a collective responsibility, good and bad.
So here in Mexico, then everybody concentrates on the football. Is that the main difference between being the manager of the international team, that in other countries it's the football that they concentrate on?
I think so. I mean, this country, Mexico, is a huge football country. You remember for sure that when there are World Cup played, there are 3 countries in the world who bring most fans in. That's Brazil, England and Mexico. Yeah. So in one way I have more or less the same job, and I like it, I love it. The press doesn't follow me, the press doesn't know where I live. I haven't seen any paparazzi here at all, which is beautiful. That's how it should be in England as well, but you can forget that.
I don't think that will happen.
No, it will not happen.
Sven, fantastic.
Fantastic.
It's really good.
Nice to see you again.
And you're looking very
I think that both
relaxed.
Glenn and Sven made it very clear that their job wasn't made any easier by the media intrusion that they suffered from. I think that the England manager's job is seen to be so important in our country that interest in people's private life will always be there. But there's a major difference between having an interest and an intrusion. And Sven suffered from an intrusion into his private life, and I don't think that's right. What I want to know is whether there is an agenda at work in our media when it comes to the national team. Back on home turf, I arrange a lunch for 3 respected Fleet Street journalists. Phil Hall, former News of the World editor. Hi. Brian Woolnough, chief football writer of the Daily Star, and Patrick Barclay from the Telegraph. I do hope nobody chokes. Here's to the England team.
Here's to the England managers. Best job in the world.
When you win.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the worst job in the world when you lose, but it gets close to it.
And what is the reason that the media and England managers seem to fall out every time?
I think it's simply on the expectancy of results. And if that results, if they don't come, then there has to be a reason. Well, let me give you an example. We've lost to Holland 2-0. We're out. We've not gone forward. So I'm coming off now, and there's a couple of security people trying to get this man out of the referee's room. And this man is saying, you, and the swear word is in there, cheat. Who did the security man pull out? Brian Woolnough. Now, 12 hours later, the sun comes out, and it's not the referee's fault. It's my fault.
So it's manager, manager, manager.
You are in charge of a group of players, and you have to get the team, the tactics, the motivation right. You know, it's down to you.
I have no problems with that at all, Brian, but does that then allow the media as such, as they did in my case, become personal?
I was on the Sun when that was. I think there's a line when you go when it's a bit of fun and you step across it. And I've been on the record many times as saying I thought the Sun went across that line with you.
Rupert Murdoch and his imitators believe that the soap opera is what sells. Football managers are turned into caricatures, and unfortunately it started with you. The famous case of Swedes 2, Turnips 1. The headline was brilliant because it placed responsibility squarely where it lay, on the 11 players and you. The following day, it isn't the players who are painted to look like turnips. Because we can only deal with one person, it had to be one head. And the headline was as good and constructive and funny as the illustration was an example of how low we've sunk.
Looking at the coverage of England, is the pressure on the people back in the office? That's the story they want. And therefore, irrespective of what you send back, the headline is going to be the headline, whether you like it or not.
I mean, editors will watch it on TV with their office around them, and it is a bit like a bear pit. They're shouting at the television, they're getting excited, and they'll pick up on the vibe in the room, and very often a headline will be designed around that vibe.
They'll say, this is the line.
That's right, they do.
And they'll go back to the pub and say, we were a bit unlucky tonight, but still somebody has to hang.
Why should we, therefore, from a media point of view, give all of this hype when a tournament comes across every 2 years, which we play in the heat of the summer, when we don't play our football, and we have a record like this?
It's quite simple for me, this. The media, of course, has to take some responsibility for the publicity that surrounds the England team. The ultimate responsibility is the coach. And if we fail, he has to take that responsibility. And we haven't had yet a coach, in my opinion, that's been good enough. If Capello is the man, that's great. He earns £6 million a year, and I don't have any sympathy with any coach that bleats afterwards about the media. And to me, that's the end of story.
I think we have to call it a day now. And I really do thank you for coming. You know, as you know, if a bus was coming across the road and you were walking, you are the only 3 people I would shout, take care.
So the media do play a part in making the England manager's job difficult. But is it all their fault? There are a number of other issues that also need examining, not least whether our successful club game is a help or a hindrance. There's no doubt that fierce media criticism and fan expectation make the job demanding. But I want to get down to the nuts and bolts of the game and how that affects the England manager.
The Premier League was formed in 1992 when I was the England manager. But it couldn't have been formed without the support of the Football Association. In fact, it had to have that. And one of the reasons why the Football Association gave that support was that the formation of the Premier League was supposed to be of help to the international side. But I'm not certain that's been the case.
Please welcome your teams, Manchester United!
I have a few concerns. Does our fast, less possession-based football suit international tournaments in hot climates? Has club football become too powerful at the expense of the national side? And of course, there's the issue of whether there are too many foreign players in the Premier League.
I've got the team sheet for this game, and let's just have a look at it, shall we? Van der Sar, Dutch. Vidic, Serbian. Evra, French. Fletcher, Scottish. O'Shea, Irish. You go across to the Portsmouth side, Ryderson, Icelandic. Diarra, French. Mendes, Portugal. Fabio Capello is at today's game. At the most, he's looking at 5 English players out of 22 on the pitch. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot say that the Premier League has helped the international team.
Well, those are my views. But to get an entirely dispassionate, objective opinion, I've enlisted a world-famous foreigner of my own.
The great Johan Cruyff. There he is, number 14. Johan Cruyff, number 1.
Johan Cruyff is one of the greatest football figures ever and a keen observer of the England team.
Johan Cruyff, the master.
Is club football in England helping the England manager and the international team?
Not at all. If you see, for instance, Arsenal with 11 foreign players, it's not English. I mean, it's European. Basically, it's said. And if I continue, I would say ridiculous. To do it well, you need to have enough people to choose from. If you take the top teams, how many forwards, English forwards are playing there? I mean, even for the coaches, and that's why I don't understand the people who are involved, like the FA, because they can do some rules. In my opinion, where it's still possible, the Russians do it already, is to have 6 local players, local it means English,
yes,
who can be picked for the national team, and the rest do whatever you want. But don't lose your own identity, and that's what they're losing now.
And what about our style of play? What about our technique? Would you say that has let us down?
In my opinion, a position in play is not good enough. Start with the basics, dominate the ball. And then, if you've got one leg, you've got to control it here, turn around, and then have a look. If you're technical well, control it to your left, you've got the whole view, and then play it. I mean, there's where the youth development comes from. What I always liked in England, and I think they were the best in the world, which is the strong pass on the field. That's great. I mean, it's there before any defender can react. That's how it should be. But the other one who's got to control it, should control it. Otherwise, the pass is useless. Get back to the bases, enjoy it, dominate the ball.
One last thing. Johan, just come over here and show me how to do that turn.
This one?
The Cruyff
Like that,
turn. Yeah,
like that.
show me how to do that. But I wonder whether his views will be supported by an England player. I'm in Middlesbrough to see a man who's not afraid to voice his opinion. In a near 9-year international career, Gareth Southgate played under 4 managers in 3 major tournaments. Gareth, one of the things that I know you yourself have said is about the lack of technique perhaps in players or whatever. Well, what do you think?
When I was in the England squad, you expect international football to be the pinnacle and you expect everybody to be technically fantastic, and that wasn't the case. You play matches in Europe and every defender, every player seems to be comfortable on the ball and able to keep possession. In the Premier League, it doesn't lend itself to international football.
The problem that we have, of course, our supporters are very used to the ball being played at a pace, and then they have to see something at international level that isn't acceptable to them. That's a problem, isn't it?
I think quite often that inbred culture of ours impacts on how supporters view the team playing.
Does that in itself then bring pressure onto the players at international level?
Lots of players don't enjoy going with England. It should be the most wonderful thing in your career. For some, I think some would sooner not play because, you know yourself, you're putting yourself up to achieve something, but if you do that, you run the risk of being shot down. Have we created an environment that they've really enjoyed going and playing for their country that's been able to bring the best out of them?
There is this club-country conflict.
Sure.
And I think it would be fair to say the country comes out the worst.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I think priority for every manager is to protect his own situation. So there ends up inevitably being a bit of selfishness about some of the decisions you might take if they're carrying small injuries. And you must have felt that when you were with England. If Arsenal had played Manchester United that afternoon, it must have been incredibly difficult to...
Are you suggesting that some managers in my time, some club managers, didn't release their players? Surely you're not suggesting that. Thanks a lot, Gareth. Excellent. Gareth's honesty is refreshing, and what struck me was his comment that some players find representing England a burden. The expectancy, the level of criticism, the hype to it all, that the very top players, if you are at the top, you handle that because you're strong enough mentally. But there are, within even people that get selected internationally, can't handle it. And that's a problem when there are fewer good young English players than ever. One man who's witnessed this decline is Harry Redknapp. A decade ago, as West Ham boss, Harry nurtured a substantial crop of England internationals. But Harry's Portsmouth is a multinational side with few homegrown kids. Do you think it's fair in certain quarters where football clubs, Premier football clubs, managers are being made scapegoats for signing too many foreign players and therefore harming the chances of the international side?
I don't know where you get the top English players, Ray, at the moment. Where do you find them? It was only, 10 years ago when I used to go and watch our youth team play every Saturday morning, and I'm seeing Ferdinand and Lampard, I'm seeing Defoe and Carrick, I'm seeing Johnson all become top players. I don't see too many around at the moment, Graham. I think it's getting more and more difficult. Even years ago, you could go into the non-league, as you know, and pick up players. You did it, I did it. You know, where's the Les Ferdinands, where's the Ian Wrights, where's the Stuart Pearces? All come out of non-league football.
Why do you think that's?
It might sound old-fashioned, Gray. I don't think we had nothing else to do but play football. Maybe that was our lives. We grew up playing football. That's all we knew. We come up from school, we play football. Now, I don't know if they do that so much now. I just think there's a million other things they do. And I don't think they work. They come into clubs now as well, a lot of them, and I don't think they work hard enough. They get in at 15, at 16, and they don't spend enough time practising, working. You know, I think they all want the big cars now, and they all want to be superstars, but I don't know how many of them really want to work hard enough to do it.
And that's part of a society that we live in.
Yeah,
you can't actually just take them out and blame them. That is the society that we're living in.
That's how it is now, yeah. That's our society. I think we have gone that way.
And what would your feeling, without any disrespect being shown to Fabio, what is your feelings about a foreign manager taking the England
I'd
setup?
like to have seen an Englishman, but I've got to be truthful, Graham. I didn't see anybody, myself included, who jumped out. Ain't going to get no easier. I think this is the best time that anyone could have ever took the England job at an all-time low. We failed to qualify for the championships, and I feel we've got good players. If we can't achieve something now with Capello, I don't know where it's going to go from there. That was great. Really good, Graham. Great to see you again.
In Harry, we're talking to a real football man. And when somebody with the experience of Harry Redknapp says that, I think this group of players may be the last chance that we have, that is worrying.
Harry's rather gloomy outlook on English football reminds me how essential it is to plan correctly from the grassroots upwards.
It's pretty obvious that we've got to attract kids to the game at a young age. And we do that by encouraging to what I call love the ball. This is an under-12 game that's going on a full-size pitch. How are the children going to have any comfort with the ball anyhow? And this is under-12. And the result, although it is always important, at this particular age, enjoyment, technique, feel, love for the game, that's the most important thing.
The nurturing of our kids is a mammoth task, and in 2003, the FA appointed West Ham and England legend Trevor Brooking, Director of Football Development.
Through the now for Brooking! That's number 2 for England by Trevor Brooking!
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but your belief is that the technical ability of our players isn't taught at an early enough age. We don't get into the business of loving the ball as well as we probably should.
Well, I'm totally convinced that we've got to change what we're doing, otherwise we will slip further and further behind. I see 13, 14-year-olds now who are in academies, centre of excellence, who actually are so focused trying to control the ball that then they get it under control, then they look up, think what they're going to do with it, and of course then they get tackled and they lose the ball. That thought process has to be miles further advanced than I think it is at the moment. I've got to be honest, I look at the development teams and I'm concerned, extremely concerned, about the quality coming through. Can we hold the ball up? Have we got somebody who can go past somebody? And the answer is no.
In 2007, Trevor appointed 66 skills coaches to work with the 6 to 11-year-olds. He's adamant that this is the age where skills are ingrained. Any older, and it could be too late.
It's no good us introducing those in our 16, 17, 18, 19 age groups if further down in the 11 to 16 age group, we've not been allowing that flair and individual technical skill evolve. So that's why I focus here on trying to get the 5 to 11 first of all, which is your mini soccer individual sort of technique. And then when you get into game conversion, as we term it, and then getting into the 11v11, have we got players who are confident knocking it out from the back, playing 1-2s, going past somebody? We're hoping that will happen.
The reality is that as we continue now at the top level, there are more and more non-English players performing on a regular basis with our Premier League clubs. How can this help the national side?
The England senior coach, he's got 37, 38% English players starting 11 of the Premier League. And you've got to understand that Germany's 40-odd%, and Spain and France are 60-odd%, and Italy's just over 70%. So that's why I'm trying to focus on that area. But we do need investment and support to actually get to the stage in 5 or 10 years' time where the England senior coach is gradually getting 40-odd, 50-odd%, 60-odd% of English players in a starting 11 of the Premier League. But that is a long-term plan, and unfortunately not everyone looks for the long-term plan, as you know.
Trevor, thanks for that. It's been very interesting. I'm under no illusions that Trevor and the FA face a massive challenge to introduce a successful structure into the English game. But for the majority of people in this country, their interest is in the current crop of players and whether Fabio Capello is finally the man who can fashion a really successful England team.
But this is the game that will shake the group. England always expects. Now Theo Walcott, it's in! Theo Walcott's first goal for England! Good selection, Fabio. Walcott has got a chance again. He's got a goal again! Oh, Theo Walcott! Rooney, it's 3! Walcott on the move, on a hat-trick. Theo Walcott to round off a goal.
It's amazing how 90 minutes of football can change everything. In Zagreb, England confounded their critics with the display of confidence, skill and togetherness. It's the day after the game and I'm heading for a chat with Croatian manager Slaven Bilic, the man behind our Euro 2008 humiliation. But now the tables have turned, and to top it off, it's his birthday. Oh dear. You were unfortunate yesterday because they got it all right yesterday, didn't they? And they had their moments of good fortune, which is usually the case. But they took full advantage of that.
Totally, they deserved it last night.
Played very well.
Yeah, they played really
now,
well.
why is it then, over such a long period of time, that England at international level haven't really had the results that we think the players should deliver for us? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Sometimes they didn't perform in the past, in recent history, as they should. But if it clicks and if they perform like they did last night against us, they are there. You can't find a lot of teams that are better than them. From a starting 11, 7 of them played in Moscow in European Cup final. 7 of them. It's unbelievable,
Yes, yeah.
For me, let's say in the last 20 years, you had some great teams, you had some great moments, you had some great tournaments, but you needed that special.
From a distance, from outside, how do you see the position of the England manager?
You are the manager of top, but really top players. On the other hand, because they are top, they play in the best teams, they are loaded, and they are drained because they play 80 games and they are top, and it's hard. I think you have the right man now, and sometimes it is the problem to make from 11 good individuals a team. But I think you are like us. You have a good spirit, and that's why I think you are good, and Capello is in a good position, definitely after last night.
Now, I'm going to say this, that I know how you feel. I've been in that place, not 4-1, but I have been there. But what I've never been, it's never been on my birthday.
Right.
So happy birthday to you, and thank you very, very much. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed talking to Slaven. He's an honest man. We expected that anyhow. And the day after England have actually beaten them 4-1, he did very well to talk to us. Having said that, what he actually told us was that the respect that there is for England footballers and football team, when sometimes at home we're down on ourselves. And he actually reminded us, really, that we do have good players, and then when we get it together, we can really play well, as to his experience it was shown. Obviously, one swallow doesn't make a summer, and it's vital that we build on our excellent start to qualifying for South Africa. Can we keep this momentum going? I went back to Soho Square to find out. Fabio, very good to see you.
Pleasure.
I've got a few questions to ask you.
I'm ready.
Fabio, can I first of all say, like many people will have done, congratulations on that Croatia result. It really was excellent. But this is part of the problem we have in our country. We're either up there or we're down there. So, you know, following on from that, what have you got to say about that?
I think we have to work together to be better, always. This one is just one victory, very important victory for the players, for us, for the country, for the fans. But it's only important victory for the future. Because we have to play the next game in England, in Wembley, where we played not so good because we played always with fear. I think in this victory against Croatia, now we have more confidence, and I hope the next game against Kazakhstan will be better, and we played without fear and a very, very good game.
After the Croatian game, I interviewed Slaven Bilic,
yes,
who was very complimentary, understandably so, about the England team. But what his feeling was is that generally we can be too hard on ourselves, we can be too critical of ourselves on occasions, and that doesn't create the right kind of atmosphere, particularly in our home games. Would you go along with that?
I think sometimes he's a very, very strong critic, and but this is our work. You have to play like the training. Yeah, I said to the players, you have to go to the pitch, you have to play like the training, because during the training we are fantastic players. This is very important. The expectation is big.
You've managed some great clubs, Real Madrid obviously being one of them. What have you found, if any, differences between managing big clubs and managing an international side?
Training every day, you can speak with the players every day, and the same problem you can resolve in 1 week. Here I have to wait 1 month to speak another time with the players.
Here in England, our media have a reputation, and it's not always necessarily a good one.
Yes.
What do you feel? What has been your experiences so far?
I surprised me. In Spain, Italy, we have 3 sport newspapers daily. But here, daily, we have a lot of pages in all the newspapers, and you have a lot of journalists, and the critics is strong, but we have to straight.
Concentrate on the job in hand.
Sure.
What do you think, then, to take this team to the next level? What is it that they really need to become a successful England side?
The confidence. The confidence that I usually see in the club. My philosophy is the group, the confidence, and plays every game like the last game.
Even though you've only had a short period of time as the international manager, is there any one thing you would like to change?
Oh, good question, but impossible to find. It's more time with the players, 1 month or 2 months, and more games.
I don't think the clubs would like that answer. There is a big difference, isn't it?
Very big difference, yes.
Fabio,
Okay.
it's been really
Thank you
good.
very much.
Thank you very much, and good luck. just perhaps, an England manager might be able to deliver what England expects.